This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on Prime Minister's address at 51st Annual Convocation Ceremony of IIT Delhi. The participants are Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and Neelabh Srivastava, journalist.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today interacted with the IIT graduates. This was the 51st annual convocation of IIT Delhi. Total of 2091 students were awarded their degrees today. While giving his pep talk or message to the youngsters, to the new technocrats, to the new generation that will go out and work, the Prime Minister had many messages. He said that one should be using the technology for the betterment of the society. And in this pep talk, in this success mantra that he talked, he also emphasized that it should be ensured by any generation of working people that keeping the concept of self-reliance, keeping the concept of technology which is very friendly, also cheap at the same time. And one of the most important points which I felt was the PM talking to these young graduating IIT students about the post-COVID world. Ayatollah, the Prime Minister said that while students may think that coronavirus pandemic has come in 2020, when these students are graduating, this also brings good amount of opportunity for them. Please elaborate.
The Prime Minister's address to the 51st convocation of the IIT Delhi, which is one of the premier institutions of our country. The Prime Minister was actually speaking, I would say, in a manner that would really touch their heart and set them thinking. Because he started with talking about how they have worked so hard for the last 4 years after passing through a very difficult entrance examination called the JEE, and how they are the cream of Indian student community, and how much of this expectation is from them and how much they expect from the country to respond to their ideas, to their inspiration, to their energy. So I think a very important message that the Prime Minister gave was, look, this government is doing a lot for ease of doing business, making things easy for them, making it in such a way that all the redundant laws, obsolete laws are removed, and there is actually ease of doing business in terms of getting finance, getting clearances and things like that. And in turn, he urged upon them to think of the poorest of the poor and work towards bringing ease of living. Basically putting it this way, that both the government and the country is committed to providing ease of doing business for these young people who are highly energetic, highly idea-oriented, highly innovative, and in turn, the country expected from them to address the problems that is facing this country and to bring about ease of living to the countrymen. I think this was a very significant message. And in the process, he gave them 4 mantras, actually. The way the Prime Minister spoke, almost telling them, look, as you step out of the IIT Delhi campus and take on the world, you have to bear in mind that whatever you do should have the stamp of quality and the scale of work. The work should be such, their idea should be such that there is a scalability in terms of carrying it out across the country or even across the globe. And the third mantra was, whatever they do, whether it is product innovation or method innovation or process innovation, it should be reliable. The reliability, the trust factor is very important. And fourthly, he said, they must be always ready to adapt, always ready to accept the fact that the only certainty in this world is uncertainty. That is why in the contest, as Neelabh, you mentioned, that this is a year has been a very difficult year for all those who are passing out, whether it is IIT or whether it is from the law colleges or from anywhere, because this 1 year has been such that they all have been confined to their home, even taking their exams online and things like that. Now, many may be feeling why it has happened in a year when I am graduating. Many people will feel, probably they are unfortunate or unlucky. But the Prime Minister tried to dispel it by saying that, look, this is a very, very unique time for our country, because in terms of the possibilities and opportunities that are going to come in this post-COVID period are going to be very unique, something that was not on offer for other generations. And there he brought in why the government is stressing on Atmanirbhar Bharat.
The Prime Minister, while delivering his speech, he said that he had an opportunity to talk to the graduating students and attending the convocations of IIT Madras, IIT Bombay, IIT Guwahati. And everywhere he found one word, that was innovation. And innovation he linked with the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat, or the self-reliant India. And he said that while globalization is important, it is now that the post-COVID pandemic world, self-reliance will equally be important. Mr. Iyer, I think the Prime Minister also in his speech gelled with whatever the kind of government schemes that his government is running, with what the challenges of the future holds. I think that was also a message that he was trying to give.
Yeah, because what the Prime Minister was saying, the last 5 years of the first Modi Sarkar, and subsequently, since the last Lok Sabha elections, the government has been working very sincerely and with lot of efforts to bring about a thought process which bring in major reforms in almost every sector. Because there is not one sector which has not been touched by this government's approach. So he listed sectors where, opportunities have been created for innovation and new startups. And he went on to mention how the guidelines have been simplified for all these service providers and how lot of, redundant restrictions have been removed so that in terms of compliance, there will not be so much of burden, particularly for this BPO industry. And he has also mentioned that, BPO industry has been exempted from various requirements for giving bank guarantees, for taking loan. And even the concept of work from home has been given lot of boost by the IT ministry and the IT sector so that it becomes globally competitive and young talents can be encouraged. And then he went on to mention that India is among the countries where the corporate tax is the lowest. And that is why today we are seeing more than 50,000 startups have started in India since the Prime Minister launched the startup campaign. Then he went on to list, what all the government efforts have been in promoting startups. The result today is already we are seeing there is a 4-fold increase in the number of patents being filed in the country. Similarly, there is a 5-fold increase in the trade registrations. And over 20 Indian unicorns have been established. Now, this is a very important point, Milad, because we know that unicorns are considered a rarity. Because that is why this mythical name has been given unicorn. Unicorns are considered a rarity because each of these startups are to be valued at more than $1 billion each. Now, at least 20 Indian such startups have come. So the Prime Minister told them directly to these IITians that funding for startups, they have actually created funds with a corpus of 10,000 crore. And in addition to that, they have been told for 3 years they have got tax exemption and all that they have to do is self-certification, and anytime they want to exit, they can exit. Now, these are the ways in which the government is trying to hold their hands and, step forward. And similarly, the Prime Minister mentioned, along with this encouragement to startup, look at what is being done in terms of mortar and e-business. And there you find there is a national infrastructure pipeline with investment of more than 1 lakh crore. Now, this is where a lot of our IITians, they can conceive projects which can be startup but linked to growth of infrastructure or building of the infrastructure.
The Prime Minister mentioned that do not be a light version of someone or something. Be original, be authentic, and his stress on quality. Yes, he did mention about the alumni network of the IITs also. You can do it at the alumni meets, can meet at their own workplace. They are very close, well-knit, they are closely connected. So I think the stress was also on that once you go out of the campus, do not forget education, probably some degree would have finished, but your work and the learning will continue.
Today is a networked world or a networking world, and IITians, they are very proud of their alma mater and they connect easily. But then there are so many IITians spread across the world. They're working in different projects in different companies. So what the Prime Minister was telling them, the importance of networking, so that, when you have great ideas, it's very important that you are able to get in touch with people who are from your similar background in different parts, some of excellent work they are doing. And wherever you start your own thing, you can start your own network where you will find whether it's your office, so many of your colleagues and some of your predecessors have gone about and done some fantastic work. You can learn from them, you can discuss your ideas, you can in fact collaborate with them. That is why the Prime Minister said, look, just go about moving and do not think that you have to, plow it alone. It's not like that. You can draw from experiences. And another thing, Manila, these IITians, they are very fond of their college, wherever they study. IIT family, there is a kind of a bonding, which the Prime Minister feels can be tapped because some of them have done excellent work after leaving IIT after a decade or so, and some of them are very serious students. And all of them, they owe it to their institution to give something back to this country. That is why today you find a person like Sundar Pichai, who is head of the Google. Whenever he comes to India or even otherwise, you find him always wanting to do something, because I remember an instance of Pichai providing Wi-Fi facility for the Kharagpur railway station. Of course, now the railways has extended Wi-Fi facilities to different railway stations across the country. But one among the first stations to get free Wi-Fi was Kharagpur in West Bengal because picture he passed out from IIT Kharagpur. So therefore, what the Prime Minister is bringing in is some kind of an emotional quotient. Already the intelligent quotient is very high among the IITians, so that they feel more driven by that enthusiasm and inspiration that is necessary in terms of giving back to the country, because this is what most of the successful IITians have wanted to do, even if they have left India and have settled in the US or something. But all of them think about this country, about the country from where they came from, and they want to give back something. Now, that is possible only when they are well networked, and also remember that today's India is a changing India. Tremendous possibilities and tremendous challenges. And the Prime Minister talked about do not be a copy of anyone, because each of you are gifted with some very unique talent, and that has to be nurtured and brought out. And that is why I think the way he talked to the IIT students today was itself basically to prod them into thinking in a manner that where the sky is not even the limit.
Mr. Iyer, the Prime Minister also talked about the governance. This government has been emphasizing that less of government and more of governance. He talked about the Jam Trinity. He talked about the DigiLockers. The technology has enabled every one of us. We have seen this in the pandemic times, in the COVID-19 times, when a people-to-people meeting, going to the offices, going to normal work was not absolutely okay. So technology came in handy, whether it is Wi-Fi, whether it is the internet. So I think his emphasis on the governance part was also going along and dovetailing with what the government is trying to do to make the life easier for citizens by way of technology, and also encouraging the students in this field.
Prime Minister reminds us, what has happened during the COVID. Particularly, nobody ever thought of working from home and working from anywhere. These are the two concepts today. Working from home, which is WFH, and WFA, which is also talked about from anywhere, which is becoming the norm. So actually, what has happened is the virtual reality and augmented reality have now become the working reality. This is one thing. But the second thing that it has brought out also, an issue like COVID-19, you realize there are two dimensions. One is the globalization of the problem. So solutions also have a global scale and a global impact. One. Secondly, the importance of self-reliance. Because if globalization is a reality, similarly, self-reliance is equally very important to remember. Then he goes about saying how the technology has come to the aid of improving governance in India. I think that's an important part, because when you can see the governance and technology, if you look at these two aspects, actually the use of technology that has cut down on corruption has also ensured there is a direct benefit of government resources to the poorest of the poor. So that is why he says, look, whatever scheme government has been able to achieve, whether in terms of construction of toilet, providing gas connections, or even providing electricity, or even building of homes. In all this, the digital delivery of services is what has made the lives of the ordinary citizens, little better and much easier. So his pointing this out is to tell the IITians, look, this is one area where a lot can be done and a lot has to be done. And this is an area where there is a scope for a lot of startups and even possibility of setting up unicorns. So that is why he brought out this, and it is a technology that will ensure, or at least ensuring, the last mile delivery. And that last mile delivery has to be done in a very efficient way, without any loss of resources in the process of delivery. And it has reduced the scope of corruption. So there is a need to develop more technology which cannot be interfered with in terms of delivery of services. For instance, look at the digital transaction. But COVID-19 has showed us that how lucky that, we already have system in place, because during COVID we saw most of our, receipt of payments and making of payments were using the digital methods. Now, if those things had not been started earlier, like say from 2016, when demonetization came and subsequent to that, would we have been able to handle this particular scenario of pandemic where across the country everything was shut down? So therefore, see, there is so much to be done in terms of using the digital technology for governance, where the IITians will have a wide scope for trying out their ideas, because today there are many countries that is appreciating the way the India has handled the digital use of technology.
I would also remember the Prime Minister in his conclusion of this video conference address that he made to the IIT students. He did say that India has a demographic dividend, and when we have IIT and brilliant minds like from the IITs, and this is a value addition for the entire globe. Thank you very much, Mr. Iyer.
Thank you, Rila.
You were listening to a discussion on Prime Minister's address at 51st Annual Convocation Ceremony of IIT Delhi. The participants were Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and Neelabh Srivastava, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our website newsonair.com. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.